turn now to the governance part of the agenda. Item 10, the use of the NHSEngland seal. I think, despite enormous interest in this topic, I'm going to invite the board simply to note it and formally approve it. Thank you very much. We turn to reports from board committees. May I just kick off, please, with you, David, on Commissioning Committee?
Well, the report reflects the meeting that was held on the 27th of July, which I have to say does seem an age ago. And therefore, I think I'll leave that as sort of self-evident and take any questions. We had a Commissioning Committee yesterday. We've covered that. We went through the numbers in some considerable detail, but in line with our sort of rolling programme of looking at the major business priorities set out in our business plan, we spent the majority of the meeting looking at urgent and emergency care and self-care, both of which, I think the urgent and emergency care is absolutely at the key at unlocking some of the challenges that the system faces. I think we perceive good progress there, but a ton of work to do. And are incredibly complicated because it is where all the interfaces come together. So I think we were reassured by the team, by the progress and by the plan, but slightly in awe of the work that needs to be done to turn that into real practical benefit for patients on the ground every day. Self-care is a really important area that has perhaps been under-invested in. It's an important part of our longer-term plan to manage demand, and I think we came away thinking that we had lots of ideas and we needed to pick a few that would really get on and see those sort of come into action. And then the final thing, again, self-evidently, we spent time on planning and the sort of where we were on the translation of the STP into the operational plans. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions on the report of the Commissioning Committee? Many members of the board are on.
So it has a high market share attendance, the Commissioning Committee.
It does. That's down to its extraordinary high quality chairmanship. So
if you believe that, you believe anything.
Shall we move on? Shall we move on to the Investment Committee, which has the obviously
lower
the same
market share,
lower
market sharing nevertheless.
There was down to me as non-exec until very recently when you joined. Thank you. Nothing to add except in relation to item 8 on the paper in front of you. Pleased to say that at our last meeting, following this one that's reported here, the Dorset Clinical Services Review was further considered and subject to some detailed work on how some of the finances are presented, was agreed for public consultation. And I'd just like to commend the incredible hard work that had clearly gone into that from our colleagues in Dorset.
Great. Thank you, Maura. Specialised? No.
Thank you, Malcolm. The note for the board summarises well the results of our strategic framework and how that's going into production across a number of initiatives which are being implemented at great pace and great speed. But I would just like to draw the board's attention to one item that's covered in that note, which is an important legal success for NHSEngland in the High Court, where the court's now rejected a claim for judicial review of our approach to managing hepatitis C. Specifically, the High Court rejected arguments from the Hep C Trust and Gilead, Bristol Myers Squibb and AbbVie as interested parties and as drug companies against our specialised commissioning policy. So the judge ruled that NHSEngland was acting entirely appropriately and reasonably to phase the implementation of the NICE recommendations on Hep C, and that our monthly run rate approach is rational and reasonable. We've also been awarded cost. I have there expanded on slightly on what is in the documented report to the board, but the essence of my message is the same.
Good. Well, thank you very much. We note the decision of the High Court. Thank you. We turn then finally to Audit and Risk Assurance Committee. David, back to you.
Well, thank you, and I think there is a written report from the meeting that was held last week. I think a couple of things that I should bring to the board's attention. One of the questions that I think we will need to keep returning to is how we get system-wide assurance on the integrity of financial control and operational control, given that we are increasingly working in partnership, quite rightly, with NHS Improvement. And therefore we talk to our internal auditors about how we can think about that. And I think the conclusion came that actually this is something that's not yet an issue but will become one, and therefore there is, I think, an important recognition that with Paul and with the team and with the internal audit team, we need to sit down with the Audit Committee of NHS Improvement and actually come up with ways in which we can satisfy ourselves within our respective remits that we actually cover the entirety as the system changes. And I think that will be a very important thing for the audit committees of both organisations over the year to come. That might turn out to be slightly as a surprise to them, because I haven't yet managed to speak to the chairman of their audit committee to inform him of that view, but I apologise for that, but I think it's something that we need to do. I think the second thing that we should, I'd like to highlight to the board is the, and Karen referred to it before, you know, we have got an unacceptable position in relation to PCS, and we have got some challenges with SBS in data processing. On SBS, I would say, on both of them actually, I would say there is an incredible amount of work gone in to remedy the situation within all the parties, including, you know, SBS, who I think have thrown a lot of resource and capability at trying to improve the situation, and there is definitely improvement taking place. But I think the board should be first note and then be aware and reassured that the audit committee will be keeping very close to those issues and making sure that we are dealing with them as appropriate, and that there is no lack of resource or effort on anyone's parts to getting those resolved quickly. So that would be my comment, other than to welcome Joanne with huge relief to up the ante on our audit and risk capability.
Well, thank you, David. Are there any comments, observations, queries on?
We should formally accept the changes to the governance.
Thank you very much. Well reminded me.
We do
Moira, that's
formally,
very
do we
kind
not
of you.
accept the changes
Absolutely.
to the governance arrangements. Thank you very much. Right, well, thank you, everybody. Before drawing the meeting to a close, I have two items of other business. Does anybody have any other business? My first is to remind all members of the board of our annual general meeting, 25th of October, 4:30 p.m. at the Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecology. By the way, that's simply the forum, not the topic. And Simon and I are devising a programme which will allow us to discuss the annual report and accounts, but also more generally the programme of work that we have been undertaking and which we're taking forward. My second item is simply on behalf of the board to extend thanks again to David. I apologise to David. I talked him into taking on an interim basis the chairmanship of the Audit and Risk Assurance Committee. Interim turned into something longer than either he or I had anticipated. But I share his great delight in welcoming Joanne Shaw, who will succeed him as from next week as chairman of ARIC, and thank David for what I hope is his last report to the board as chairman of the Audit and Risk Assurance Committee, although you're remaining a member for as long as we can manage.
I think I should say I've been incredibly well served by Paul and by the team that supports him.
Right, well, on that note, may I please declare the meeting closed with the usual resolution that we proceed into considering private business in part two. Thank you, everybody, for attending today, and to my colleagues for the meeting. Thank you.